Welcome back. Shares of stablecoin issuer Circle up this morning again, up another almost 3% after the Senate passed its landmark stablecoin regulation bill yesterday. Circle seeing an historic month after its blockbuster IPO on the 5th. CEO Jeremy Allaire calling stablecoins, quote, the highest utility form of money, saying the industry is headed toward the iPhone moment. That is the scene on the floor of the New York Stock Exchange when Jeremy rang the opening and the closing bell on the day of the IPO, which was huge. The company's comments lighting up this crypto space, helping fuel a jump again in Circle stock. Joining me now is the man behind it all, the CEO and chairman and co-founder of Circle, Jeremy Allaire, back with us. Jeremy, great to see you.
Great to see you, Marie.
Congratulations on everything. I know you're still in a quiet period after your IPO, so you're limited in terms of what you can say about the company, but wow, what a moment for you.
It's an exciting moment, you know, all around. I mean, you know, we've been working towards this for 12 years, and I think we're seeing this simultaneous maturation in the technology. It's actually becoming, you know, scalable and usable, and we're seeing businesses wanting to build on this around the world. And then really critically, as you know, as we've mentioned, legal clarity all around the world that stablecoin money is a new form of like M1 electronic money, and that's kind of happening all around the world. And obviously the Genius Act enshrining that in law here in the United States. And so all those things combined make this a really extraordinary time for you know, this kind of technology.
And I want to get to the Genius Act in a second, but when you're saying in terms of usage, I mean, if I'm overseas and I need to pay for something, send money, whatever, yeah. I could use a dollar or I could use a stable coin.
Yeah, you know, I think of this very much like the way, you know, we've seen upgrades of different utilities that we used to use in the pre-internet era to an era that is more internet-based. So, you know, when's the last time you sent a cross-border email? Doesn't even make sense, right?
Good, that's good.
You know, and so I think
analysis,
that you know, kind of what's happening here is that, you know, just like with the internet, where I can have WhatsApp in South Africa and I can have WhatsApp in Brazil and I can instantly communicate over these software utilities, stablecoins are doing the same in how money can be used. I use the phrase over-the-top internet money, like there's over-the-top television, right? There's sort of over-the-top internet money, and that's what stablecoins represent. And it's really empowering to people, households, businesses around the world that want dollars, they want digital dollars, they want the utility of the internet and the efficiency of this technology. And so people are figuring it out, and that's accelerating you know, the growth and usage of this.
What do you say to the most naive of us on this issue and the skeptics? You know, because there are people saying this unbelievable move in Circle stock, Coinbase stock. I'm going to short this. I'm going to get, you know, I'm going to, you know, look for the remains that I saw in the dot-com bubble and dot-com bust. How do you explain it to the skeptics who are perhaps unclear on what the strategy really is and the growth story ahead?
I mean, look, as I like to say, you know, we're in the very early stages of the development of this market. While Circle's been around for 12 years, you know, we see a total addressable market that is, you know, $100 trillion in legal electronic money. If you think about physical cash and non-interest-bearing demand deposits in banks around the world, which is this sort of basic form of cash-like money, that's a $60 trillion market today. And then all of the different utilities that we have in the world, whether it be retail payment utilities, cross-border utilities, capital markets, exchanges, all of these different utilities that are moving money, and those themselves generate trillions of dollars of revenue. And so, you know, the internet is colliding with the financial system. The internet's collided with the media industry, it's collided with the software industry, it's collided with the communications industry. The internet is now colliding with the financial industry and the financial system. And there's an opportunity to build very significant scaled platforms and utilities in the same way that we've seen those built in other industries on the internet.
Are you expecting the banks to try to encroach on the business? Already you've got JP Morgan trying something with another coin today, actually. And you've got lots of the financial services companies saying, Circle, all these other companies within this space, they're a competitor.
Yeah, my view is that there is going to be a lot of what I call co-opetition in all these areas. But I think, Circle has built its reputation as being a market-neutral infrastructure company. We work with banks, neobanks, payments companies, fintechs, exchanges, and we work with a lot of companies that would view each other as fierce competitors. And so we're market neutral. And our view is we've built great technology, and we view banks everywhere in the world as a tremendous set of potential partners. How do they upgrade their technology to use programmable money and stable coins to facilitate more efficient payments for their customers? At the end of the day, banks need to provide a good service to their customers, and this technology can help them do that. And we think we can be a great partner for the vast majority of banks that are interested in this.
And by the way, all the banks are spending billions on technology. I think J.P. Morgan spends $17 billion. I mean, Bank of America, $10 billion. They're all in the tens of billions. But let's get back to the Genius Act for a second, because you have had very positive comments about it, about this framework. The Senate passed this landmark stablecoin legislation, the Genius Act, yesterday. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent posted this on X about how stablecoins could grow into a $3.7 trillion market by 2030. He called them a tool for lowering government borrowing costs. So even not just a private sector situation, but you've got government officials saying this is going to actually lower the cost for government. How do you assess the Genius Act?
I think it's an excellent piece of legislation. I know that it's been something that's very important to President Trump. It's got a supermajority. It's got bipartisan support. There's an opportunity here for the president to have something on his desk to sign into law. This would be the first major piece of financial bipartisan laws and regulations in like 7 years. And so it's very significant. And I think it creates a level playing field for banks, non-banks, for startups, for large companies, to get involved in building this technology. And I think it enshrines in law a lot of the safety, soundness, reporting, auditing, and other standards that companies like Circle have self-imposed for a very long time, but it turns those into federal law. And I think to Secretary Bessent's comments, this is great for the dollar. It turns digital dollars into an export product of the United States, and it proliferates the digital dollars across the internet. And so if we're in a digital currency space race with China or with other countries or BRICS or what have you, this is a huge way to win, is to just deliver this on a global basis. And absolutely, it will create demand for treasuries, and it has the potential to lower U.S. borrowing costs. And so this is national competitiveness, national interest, it's an economic growth driver. I always refer back to this, but when you have a higher utility form of money that has all of this money velocity characteristics, that has real potential to actually increase economic prosperity.
For sure.
And so, and that's the founding mission of this company, is to raise global prosperity through this frictionless exchange of value. And so it's wonderful to see our political leaders, our economic leaders kind of embracing this and working towards it. And I think Genius Act is I believe going to get picked up and get brought to the president's desk in the near future.
And we spoke with Tennessee Senator Bill Hagerty about it just yesterday. This is his bill. Watch.
I think we're going to have a great product that actually sets the stage for moving into a modern-day payment system into the 21st century, getting us off the old system that was designed in the 1970s and 80s, making the dollar the key element in the digital arena. And frankly, it will stimulate more demand for U.S. treasuries. It will strengthen the dollar's position as a reserve currency. We're going to see that advance in a way that, again, takes a lot of friction out of an old clunky system, reduces counterparty risk, reduces currency risk, and will bring a lot of working capital back to the companies that need it and back into the economy.
Which is exactly what you just said. And I think the key point is China and the competitive landscape globally, but also the demand for treasuries.
Yeah. I mean, fundamentally, a full reserve digital dollar that's backed by treasuries and by this, cash held in the safest, institutions, that is a demand driver for for U.S. government debt, and it is a very powerful force. And I think what's interesting is I talk to people who use this in other countries, businesses using this in other countries, and they actually look at this and say, this is a safe digital dollar. You're not holding a bank's credit risk.
Yeah.
You're holding the U.S. government's treasury, short-term treasuries. And so it's a powerful model that I think just intuitively people understand. It's a safer, higher utility form of money.
And we are seeing this materialize in real time. It's so exciting. Jeremy, thank you so much for walking us through it.
Thank you, Maria.
Good to see you. Jeremy Allaire here from Circle. Stay with us. We'll be right back.